the Greek War of Independence. Of course, we are saying the Greeks rose up to fight for their independence. They were against the Turkish rulers. So we are like saying the Greek War of Independence was a war fought between the Greeks and the Ottoman Empire. The Greeks, under the leadership of nationalists like Prince Epsilon T and Capodistrias, were demanding for their national independence from the foreign rule of the Turkish under Sultan Mahmud II. The war broke out in 1821 due to various reasons. So we need to understand the causes of the Greek War of Independence. Number one, the harsh rule of the Turkish over the Greeks. It is said the Turkish administrators were very harsh in their rule. They were mistreating the Greeks. They were practicing dictatorship. It is this that made the Greeks to rise up and stage the War of Independence. Because by this time, they were tired of the harsh rule. Another one, we are saying the impact of the French Revolution of 1789. The French Revolution of 1789 led to the rise of great ideas in form of liberty, equality, and fraternity. So it inspired the Greeks to rise up. The Greeks were saying, as the French succeeded in 1789, even as we are going to succeed. So they were like saying, since we are agitating also for liberty, equality, and fraternity, we are going to succeed. And this led to the Greek War of Independence. Then the religious conflicts between the Orthodox Christian Greeks and the Turkish Muslims. We believe by this time the religious conflicts between the Orthodox Christian Greeks and the Turkish Muslims. The Greeks, who were Orthodox Christians, didn't want to be controlled by the Turkish Muslims. That's why they rose up and staged the War of Independence. Of course, they were led by a man called Alexander Epsilon T. He was a moving spirit in the struggle. You could find him everywhere, fighting for freedom, and that led to the Greek War of Independence. Then, the desire to revive the Greek culture and traditions. It is said the Greeks wanted to revive their culture. Since they were being controlled by the Turkish rulers, their culture was abused. So by this time, they wanted to get their independence in order to revive the greatness of their culture. Of course, through a great association called Philikitaria, people were mobilized, and this led to the Greek War of Independence. Then the influence of the Serbian revolts of 1804 and 1815. It is said people in Serbia rose up to fight against the Ottoman Empire. They wanted to get their independence. So it is this that inspired the Greeks to rise up. The Greeks were saying, as the Serbians rose up, even as we are going to do what? To rise up. And this influenced the emergence of the Greek War of Independence. Then the influence of the revolutionary writers, such as the Greek poet Regas and the British poet George Byrone. So believe these writers wrote ideas concerning about change, concerning about freedom, concerning about liberty. Their books were read by so many people. Those who read their books were determined to join the revolution against the Turkish rulers, and this led to the Greek War of Independence. Then the fair treatment of the Greeks compared to other nationalists by the Turkish. It is said The Turkish administrators, they fairly treated the what? The Greeks. They gave them some freedom. So the Greeks used this freedom to agitate for the war of what? Independence. Because for them, they were fairer treated more than what? Others. So it is this freedom that gave them some kind of courage to rise up and agitate for their independence. Then the rise of ambitious nationalist leaders like Prince Alexander Ypsilanti. We believe by this time Alexander Ypsilanti mobilized the people in Greece and convinced them to join the struggle. He was a moving spirit everywhere. You could see him in the east, west, south, even in the central, agitating for change. So it is this that led to the Greek War of Independence. As the people were mobilized, people had to understand the benefits of the struggle, and this led to the Greek War of Independence. Then, the unfair and exploitative taxation of the Greeks. It is said the Greeks used to pay so many taxes. The Turkish administrators made the Greeks to pay so many what? Taxes. So it is this that annoyed the Greeks. That's why they rose up to stage the War of Independence. Why? Because they were tired of paying so many what? Taxes. And the taxes were not seen in their lives. My friend, if people tend to pay taxes, the taxes must be seen in their what? In their lives. But in Greece, people were paying so many taxes, but of course the taxes were not seen in their lives. Then Russia's policy of encouraging revolts within the Ottoman Empire. It is said Russia encouraged the revolts within the Ottoman Empire. Let me tell you, at one time, Russia wanted the Ottoman Empire to collapse. So what Russia did, it supported the Greeks at one time in the Greek War of what? Independence. As Russia supported the Greeks, even those who were not willing to join the struggle had to join after realizing that they were being supported by a great country called Russia. Then the weakness of the Congress system. I can tell you today, the Congress system was full of weakness. In this kind of arrangement, since the Congress system was very weak, this made the Greeks to rise up and agitate for the War of Independence, because they knew that the Congress system, which could have stopped them to rise up, was full of what? Weakness. It was going to do nothing. That's why they rose up and they staged the Greek War of Independence. Then the declining power of the Ottoman Empire motivated the Greeks to revolt. It is said because the Ottoman Empire was declining in its power in terms of military, in terms of economy. So it meant that it didn't have enough resources to challenge the regime, to challenge the policies, to challenge the rising of the Greeks. So by this time, it is this that made the Greeks to become confident, because the Greeks knew that the Ottoman Empire was becoming very what? Weak. And they thought that they were going to succeed. Then the popular public opinion. It is said the public opinion in Greece supported the Greek War of what? Independence. Many people in Greece were supporting the Greek War of Independence. So it was a question of public opinion. As many people in Greece were supporting the Greek War of Independence, it is this that led to the Greek War of what? Independence. Big names like Alexander Ypsilanti, after realizing that they had the support of the people, they rose up in large numbers to fight And this led to the Greek War of Independence. Then the emergence of a large and patriotic Greek bourgeoisie. These were middle class. I can tell you, these people had a lot of money. They were driven by ideas and money. Since they knew what they were doing, they knew about their rights, they had the money, they used the money to challenge the regime. And this led to the Greek War of Independence. So the year 1821 was the year of the Greek War of Independence, where we believe the struggle was led by a man called Alexander Hypsilanti.